nobody fell asleep last week.
Alright, we're good.
When I looked at it, and I see 40 minutes.
All right.
Commissioner Notstein, if you may lead us in a moment of silence and the pledge of allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be an American citizen. May we do our part in keeping it a place others would want to call home. Thank you, Lord, for the beauty you have bestowed upon America. Let us do our part in preserving its splendor, and thank you for the great history of America. May we learn from our failures and glean from the great men and women who made America what it is. Finally, Lord, I pray that you bless the United States of America. Amen. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of preparing accurate written minutes. Recordings are overwritten following approval of the minutes, eliminating all unofficial records of these proceedings. The first item is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting held October 24th, 2024.
Second?
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes?
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes. Are there any guests here concerning county business? Hearing none,
Report of executive sessions held.
there were none.
The department reports. The budget transfers.
Second?
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
There are no supplemental appropriations. Expenditures, approval of check numbers 246749 through 246898 for expenditures totaling $1,267,957.39.
Motion approved.
Second?
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
The treasurer's report.
Approve as presented?
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
The personnel report for county departments.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
The acknowledgements for courts and row offices.
Motion acknowledged.
Second?
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
Correspondence was received as listed. Copies will be made available to the press upon request. Boards and authorities, the Railroad Commission. Reappointment, 4-year term to September 1, 2028. Richard Forgay, II of Lansford, Pennsylvania.
Motion approved.
Second?
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
Children and Youth Agreements, 2024-2025 Purchase and Service Agreements, item number 24503 for approval and execution.
Motion approved. Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
Human Services, item number 24-504, the non-block grant plan.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
Item number 24505, the fourth quarter TFAP report.
Motion to accept?
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
Item number 24506, the state food expense and data report.
Motion accept.
Second?
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
Planning and Development, item number 24507, the CDBG change order number 2 for Whitesport Borough.
Motion to approve and execute?
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
Next item, the home program, item number 24508, an agreement for approval and execution.
Motion to approve and execute?
Second, and I do want to make a comment about this. This is one that's under our new program that we're doing. So
You know, like where we open it up for that 23,000 under, and this is the first project that's going out this year, and hopefully we'll have many more, and I hope there's more contractors that sign up for this.
Okay. Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
The solicitors report.
Thank you. For Josiah White Park, motion for special activities agreement with Jim Thorpe Tourism Agency.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
And economic development, item 24-510, agreement with the Carbon Chamber and Economic Development Corporation.
Motion approved and executed.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sifranco?
Yes.
Nothing further for the solicitor's report.
Any further business? Hearing none, commissioners' reports. Mr. Honor?
I think maybe what I'm gonna do is maybe give a little bit of a report on the election. Through the elections, there have been some mail-in ballots that have been coming to our department from other counties. And there's also several other counties that have been getting ballots from other counties. And it is Lebanon, Perry, Fulton, Washington, Erie, Bucks, and Cambridge so far that have been. Now, I don't know how many they have, but we have had 4 so far. And I just have to say one thing, the solicitor and I were on with the liaison to the state this morning, and I stressed to them that this has to be fixed. This is nothing that they can wait until after the election to do it. They're gonna have to, because what do we do with them? Do you mail them? Do you hold them? What do we have to do with them? I mean, my suggestion would be to hold them, have your election, and before you verify your elections, make sure that them ballots get back to that county. And I talked to her this morning, and they are time-stamped that they came here. It's not the fault of the elections that we got Schuylkill County, because the address, the return address is the same as the mailing address. So this is something that was a post office problem and not the county. And I think, I don't think any election department across the state should be held viable for this because of what the post office did. And like I said to the lady from the state here, I get mail if my address is 241 and my neighbor is 243. Sometimes they get mixed up in the mail, but they get mail from some place that's 50 or 100 miles away from us. That's a problem. And everybody's always talking about the election machines aren't right or something's fraudulent. Well, maybe they ought to start checking the mail machines, because this is a problem. I mean, it's gonna come back to that it's the elections, it's their fault, and it's not. They're doing the best job that they can, and now they're getting thrown into different situations. And I have to commend our election department. They're handling everything, you know. We had to send a girl down there yesterday and day before, and maybe even today, to try to help out with getting things processed. But this is not an election problem. This is a mail problem, and that's all I have to say. I don't know if the other commissioners have it. And I mean, we made them aware of it, that at the state, so they know what's going on.
Yeah, and I think everybody, because the election office, along with the commissioner's office, everyone calls the commissioner's office because they're being advised to call the commissioner's office, and then unfortunately, you need to call the election office. So calling the commissioner's office is just complicating matters. Call directly to the election office. I do realize that the 3 commissioners here, and we all know that, we sit on the Board of Elections, so you're looking for the answers, but here's kind of how it works. When that ballot gets here, it takes about sometimes 2 days, 2.5 days till our election office processes it and sends it off to the state. And that's all done, and then it gets processed at the state. That could take another 2 to 3 days. So from the time the ballot gets dropped there till it possibly gets through the system could be anywhere from 7 to 10 days. Everyone thinks once you drop it in, it's done. The other thing is, if you want to wait in the office, it takes in Carbon County, we're averaging about between an hour and a half and a 2-hour wait time for that to get processed and sent back from the state. Other counties, such as Monroe, I think they were up to 2.5 and 3 hours. So when people say there is no early voting, you come in, you go through your process of your ballot, ballot comes in, you vote, it's not being counted, it's just like you're voting by mail in the office. So you don't go in and set up and sit down and vote and they go count the vote right away. That vote does not get counted till election day. So when people come say, oh, there's early voting, there isn't. There's a process that has to be taken care of. Unfortunately, one is, as Commissioner Honor has said here, there is a lot coming in. I think we have over 5,000, maybe even 8,000 ballots that have, not absentee, but mail-in ballots that have been processed down there. And when that's all being processed, it takes time. The state has a system that has to take all of that in. Well, if the state system's lagging because they're overjammed, it's just a trickle down. Then everything gets mailed, and that's where Commissioner Arner hits on to. We're not blaming the postal workers by no means, so please don't look at it that way, because I know they're doing the best they can do to get all that postal work done. But the system and trusting there's a risk that everyone takes no matter how you vote. If you vote by mail, there's the risk that the ballot doesn't get through the system in time. There's a risk that the ballot gets lost in the mail. There's a risk that it gets mailed and we don't receive in the state system. However, if you vote in person, there's a risk you might not get there that day. You may forget to vote. Your car may break down. So on both sides, there's risks of how you vote. You have to make that decision, and there's no way that the county, by the way, because we don't set up the election law or the election. That is set up by the state. We just try to enforce what they give us. And unfortunately, with the way it's set up, there's a lag in all of that. Everyone, I think, when you go in to vote, they go in, take the book, they turn the book around, and you sign the book. You go over your vote, you mark it, you go up, count, boom, it's over. Well, it's not the same way it works with the mail-in ballot, and then there's, like just yesterday, I think I saw something in the news, and I can't confirm all of that, but I think Philadelphia ruled in a lower court that they don't have to be dated. But the rest of the counties in the state do. And that's just a special exception for Philadelphia. Well, that creates a problem because everyone sees that on the news and thinks that, well, that's the same throughout the state. And in Carbon County, they must be dated. There's rules. But if the judge, and now that's all going to be appealed, and that throws another wrench in everything. So, if you have a question, I'd say to please call the election office, ask them. You can track your ballot online once it's processed through the state, and you'll know where it's at.
Yeah, and there's even someone, like, even for the mail-ins that they're getting, like third parties are sending out that you should do a mail-in. And then we get them down here and the people call like they didn't get their mail-in ballot. Well, they're not registered. People are sending, for a mail-in, they're not registered. So when it comes to us, they're complaining that they should have registered. And that's like some of the things that are confusing everything there. But them ballots that we got are time stamped. So they came to an election office in Pennsylvania. It's not our fault that it came to the wrong one. So they're gonna have to make a determination, or what are they gonna do with it, My feeling is if it came to the wrong address, like I said, why don't we just go through the election, and if each county has 10, then before you verify, what do we have to verify within 30 days?
Correct.
Then make sure that that's in the equation, and there's no problem. Why is everybody making an issue over 10 ballots? And if it can be straightened out, now the ones that were sent in that are people out of state that don't get them, now that's a problem, but until the election is sort of over and we find all the details out, and like I said, our elections is getting hammered the last couple of days, for people signing up, registering, and then think they can go right over to the machine and vote, and that's not the way it happens, and I think that's a lot of misinformation that was out. But like I said, I'll stick up for our election department any day of the week, and I think for what's happened in the last couple of days, they have a handle on it.
And the other thing is, I think people need to realize that a lot of people have called and said, well, I got my ballot, but my wife didn't. Or my mother or mother-in-law or parent, but I got mine and my children didn't. Well, the answer to that is, if it's processed and you can track it, then it's in the mails. If yours was processed, the chances are everybody's was sent to the state at the same time. Then that's an issue with the state processing it. But once it's processed and you receive the email that your ballot's been processed, you can track that it's that far. Then it's a matter of the mail. And we're not blaming the mail carrier, please. That's. But somebody has to be held responsible.
No, and I think it's like you said, the mail carriers and their problem. It's like, how does something that has a barcode on it it's addressed to that county and it comes to ours. I mean, there's some glitch there somewhere. I mean, they go off of that barcode, that, unless that barcode says Carbon County, that's the only reason it would come to Carbon County.
A lot of confusion out there. I think a lot of these problems start at the state and federal level. I wish these people would get their act together and come up with a single decisions. We can't have the courts rule everything, or different county courts or state courts. All the appeals we're gonna get, I have a feeling this election will not be over before the end of next year. And I'm honest, between all the lawsuits and all the garbage mail, I have a complaint, a person brought this in for me, from the Vote Project Fund. They're sending out multiple applications to all the people. This comes out of Philadelphia. People get confused, especially the older ones. They fill out multiple applications. Now, that takes more time for our election workers who are already overwhelmed, trying to follow state rules, state regulations, and it's becoming a major problem. That's our Monroe County, was it 700 ballots that came in from a company in Lancaster. We had Lancaster County had quite a few thousand come in. So there's a serious problem out there, and it all starts at the state and federal level. They gotta start passing laws, making it illegal for these third-party people to be sending this garbage out all the time. And then, you know, not a slap in the hand, you know, make it a federal offense, make a fine, and mandatory imprisonment for a good amount of time. You know, I get tired of the garbage. I think our elected officials have to set their own rules and limit their advertising. We get tired of seeing the same advertising. There should be a limit on the amount of advertising we have to put up with, not only in the mail, but on TV, news media, other news media outlets as well. It's just getting out of hand. And these people in Harrisburg and in Washington gotta get their crap together and sit down and come up with a compromise to make things better, easier on all our election offices throughout the country. Because it is getting frustrating listening to the complaints that don't have to be because they don't know what they're doing. Look what happened 4 years ago. 4 years ago, how many election directors resigned? Over 50% of them, because of the garbage in the Department of State at the last minute, even on election day, changing the rules. How can you run an election like that? And I blame a lot of it on our legislators. None of them were ever county officials or worked in the county to know how to run an efficient election. You know, they don't have the experience our election directors have. And a lot of us as, you know, elected officials here, sit down at the table with these people, with the CCAP, the election officials, both parties, all three other parties involved, and come up with some good, solid set of rules that are well-defined, no ends, ifs, buts, gray areas, and keep the attorneys out of it. Thank you, Bob.
No.
I agree. Well, yeah, it's just our country is out of hand.
And like, even like, I mean, just to tag on to Wayne's, like Wayne's 100% right with that. Like, I know some people that got 3 of them from different organizations, and then when they call us for something, they verify if they're registered, and then they'll send it out to them. They're sending it out to people, they could have 1 million people they're sending out to that aren't even registered. And that's what's clogging the whole thing up. Like, people are calling and they wanna know where their mail-in ballot is, and you're not registered. Just because you got a third-party ballot or application, that doesn't mean you're registered. They're sending them out to unregistered people. I mean, they should be out maybe getting registered people and tell them to go to the elections. And I mean, and I look at it like there's too much of that. And if the parties want to do something within the county, then let the parties do it. But that's their responsibility. Why is there every activist group that's out there sending a ballot out? You know, that's, I'm sure I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that, but so what? I mean, it's like something gotta stop here to make it easier for election. Then people, the girls down there, their like nerves are on edge. I mean, and I said, and they're handling it like great. And this morning I might have flipped out a little bit to the state, but
Okay.
a little bit. They heard me outside, but it's time that somebody, and I agreed, like even like with Wayne or Mike, and we're tired of this. You know, as a county officials, this is enough.
Our voters are tired of it.
Yeah, they're,
They see it.
and even for them to,
Harrisburg,
even,
Philadelphia.
yeah, even for them to come up here, they're told that they're supposed to come up here and whatever they have to do, and they think they're gonna vote here, and then you come to Jim Thorpe, full season, you know, can't find a parking spot, where you could actually go to your own precinct on Tuesday, probably in 15 minutes, and you can vote. And here you're up here, they're just aggravating the voters. They're gonna turn voters off from actually voting. You know, we talk about that we only have 3% here, 10% in these districts. This is probably gonna turn people off more. We're gonna probably wind up having only 9% of the people vote in the next election because they're tired of it. So, that's all I have to say.
And there's a final two thoughts on that, I think, and I'll give you this. Is number one is, I know people now are asking, well, I applied for a ballot, mail-in ballot, I didn't get my mail-in ballot, or I got my mail-in ballot and it hasn't been processed, so I didn't get it back. What do I do next? Or how do I vote? If I can't vote, how can I still vote election day? So what the board will do is, later today, we'll sit with Bob and we'll talk about putting something up onto the webpage on the election to tell you how that can be handled. Because I know what's gonna happen now is some people say, well, I got my ballot in on time, my wife didn't, but we both applied and they're in the SURE system. So we'll sit down between now and tomorrow and come up with something to put out on the county webpage under the election office. And I think that'll help clear up what all needs to be done, and I'd ask everyone to go to that page, and that'll explain to you what you need to do, whether you need to go to, when you go to vote, and how it's properly labeled, so that you don't have to keep calling the election office off and ask that question. So we'll try to get some of those top questions on the webpage to answer that, so.
Yeah, and there's gonna be a lot of questions, because if you get your mail-in ballot today, you're probably thinking it's not gonna make it to the elections by Tuesday. So there's options, you can either bring it up to the elections, or you can take that to your poll, show them that you're not voting that, and you'll get a provisional,
Correct.
and then you can vote at the poll. It's very simple. We don't need to make it hard, but like I said, Bob, we're gonna put something up and have it posted at everybody, and like I said, if you don't, you can ask questions somewhere, we'll have it there, and if you have any question that you didn't get a mail in and you didn't send it in yet or whatever, then just go to your poll and vote. Tuesday, just go there, that's your best thing.
But we will have something up on the webpage explaining that, and that we're hoping will help solve some of the questions that are out there, and we've probably a couple of them. And then finally, and it was brought up by Wayne about parking. Parking in Jim Thorpe has and always will be a issue. If you go back and research council minutes to the early 1800s, they had nowhere to park horse and buggies. So unfortunately, that's part of doing business in Jim Thorpe, as much as we try. I know there's been, well, why don't we have special parking spots set aside for people who are coming to vote or drop off their ballots? Well, on any given day, Rocky will tell you he was down there twice and couldn't hardly get in the foyer. On any given day, there's people doing business in the county park, in the county courthouse, in the county administration building. Just yesterday, we were here at the President Judge, and he expressed his concerns during specifically the month of October, when people are trying to get in and use the court and go to court. Lawyers are running late, defendants are running late, everyone's running late because they cannot find parking. The issue is, I said, yeah, well, how many parking spots does the county save? We could be saving, we try to keep as many available as possible. If you would call ahead and let people know, then it helps that, hey, we're coming in to make sure there's a spot. Then we can let the parking authority know that, hey, I'm coming to do business, I have a court case, and that kind of stuff all helps. But to try to sit down and just court off and say, that becomes really a tough task. And then if we do it and you say, well, we'll put it in the main parking lot, well, that's not close enough to the election office. And then how many of those spots have to be handicap accessible? And then it becomes, now not only are we trying to manage an election, we're trying to manage a parking for the election. So I think Commissioner Arner does hit the nail on the head there when he says if parking is an issue and getting here is an issue, then maybe you go to the area where you normally vote where there is ample parking. So,
And I do have one more thing that the election director told me, and I don't know if people wanna come to Jim Thorpe on a Saturday, but the election office will be open from 8 to 12 to take their ballots, if somebody wants to bring them back. And that is 12 noon. Not 12:01 or 12:02, it's 12 o'clock. They're opening up the office to accommodate people to come here, so I hope everybody uses their discretion and gets here before 12 o'clock.
And here's the next thing. Everyone's gonna say, 'cause this will be it, why did you pick a Saturday in November in Jim Thorpe to do the last? Because as you heard from all three of us, the delay in the mail service, so we're trying to get it at the last possible time that it can happen. Is Saturday in Jim Thorpe on fall foliage a good day? Absolutely not. But it is the last possible day that we can get all that done right, so. Okay? I think that's it for Commissioner Arner's comments.
Mr. Nostine.
Okay, elections, no. We all know how dry it has been out there. Several departments have been in, multiple departments have been out in some rather large brush fires. It's that time, not that time of year, because normally this happens in spring before the grass and trees turn green. I do want to mention that most of the municipalities in Carbon County do have burn bans, Lower Commencing, Bowmanstown, Mahoning, Nesquehoning, East Penn, Summit Hill, Penn Forest Township, Palmerton, Lehigh, Lausanne, and Commencing Township. Just because your name isn't on the list doesn't mean you can burn. Tonight they're calling for some rain. The one report I saw, actually less than a quarter inch. Even if it does rain, a slight breeze, it'll be dry by noon time. It's dry underneath. People have got to realize that it's extremely hazardous right now. The one fire I seen on TV there where it was threatening homes. And the other thing is that if the forestry department gets called out and you're responsible for a fire, you are gonna be billed for the response and any damages that have occurred. So there are consequences for burning on a windy day, illegally, etc. So it hasn't got to the point yet, but we're getting extremely close to drought condition. We are getting into drought conditions. Just look at Lehigh and all the other streams. I wanted to call the lake this morning and see how much we're down at Mock Chunk Lake Park. But it's extremely low, extremely dry, and it's going to take several inches of rain over a period of close period in time within weeks to help alleviate the fire hazard. So please be careful out there. Don't burn if you don't have to. There's no reason you have to burn. So don't do it. You're endangering other people's properties and lives, and you can be billed big time for it. So that's all I have.
I make a motion to make the entire county no burn.
Well, it can come. I think we need a few more to make it a county-wide. Gary sent me this already. Gary Williams from the Com Center sent this at 5, I think it was 5:30 this morning. He mailed me this. So Gary's a early riser. Yeah, 5:25 a.m. this morning he sent me this. So Gary's always in work early in the morning. So. Okay.
Mr. Sifrako?
I have one, and it is sad kind of, but we did receive notification from Lehighton Borough that they had received notification from the governor's office, from Josh Shapiro, and we all know that we lost a great public servant here in Carbon County this week, and that was Mayor Ritter in Lehighton. So if anyone is asking why the state flags are at half-staff, he received that honor from the governor early yesterday, I think the email came through, or late yesterday. So all the flags at all county buildings have been lowered to half-staff in his honor, honoring that request from the governor. It is a great honor for Mayor Ritter and his family, and it should be noted, not only was he the mayor, he was involved very much in, I think, the fire department. He was a Pennsylvania State Police officer, so he really gave a lot back to his community. And you know, a lot of people say, why is the flags at half-staff? Well, that's to remind you of the public servant that he truly was on all ends. So I'd like to offer the condolences on behalf of the Board of Commissioners to his entire family. That's all I have. Anything else? Meeting adjourned. Amy, we'll start with you. Where'd you start last week? He didn't,
I
he
don't
just
think
kept
he
going.
let any, I don't think he let media talk last week.
It wasn't much, I think I started with Rachel and then she didn't have anything, so I think. it
Wayne
was
took up 40 minutes of the talking, so.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
That election discussion took more than the whole meeting itself. Let me go back.
I believe it's taking
I
more
might have
time
got
than.
carried away a little
It's gonna
bit.
take more next week and a week after.
Yes. Um, for the elections office, how many employees are currently over there working?
Four right now.
Four we have,
Yeah.
yeah.
One,
Well, there's-
they only had three.
Yeah, there's three, but there's
we
the
had
fourth
one
one,
of our
that's from
staff
our
members
office
are down there
that we
again
sent
today.
down.
Okay, and then, Commissioner Arner, with the counties, which counties did you receive?
I can send that to you.
Yeah, please.
What it was Lebanon, Perry, Fulton, Washington, Erie, Bucks, Cambria.
And they were all the ones you guys have received from?
Yeah.
But no, them are the counties that got ballots from other
Other
counties. It doesn't necessarily mean our ballots are there.
Yeah, I'm
You know.
curious on what counties Carbon County received.
We don't know unless they reach out to us.
Okay.
Or some of them, I don't know, did they reach out to the state like we did this morning? Or did they just stick it like when you get mail and you got somebody else's, you stick it back in the mail? What was their process?
So there's probably a lot more because that email was sent out by Jen late last
Oh, yeah.
evening after
Yeah.
5. And that was the replies that she had earlier this morning. So till people get in and really get through their emails and through the ballots, there's probably a lot more.
But at least one of the good things I think is that it's time stamped there. In fact, I called her again this morning. They are time stamped. So if there would be a lawsuit out of it, it's not our fault if it was time stamped that it was supposed to go to them. Or are they gonna allow it to be counted if they get it Wednesday? You know what I mean? If we
Yeah.
send it in the mail. I mean, I think it should. It's just not sent to the right address.
Okay, and do you guys know of any ones of Carbon County that got sent to any other counties yet?
No, no.
Nobody reported it yet.
However, there are people that are calling that haven't received their ballots.
Right.
So they're tracking something in the mail, but it's not here, so, I mean, that could be some of that issue.
And some of them actually filled it out, like to get a mail-in ballot the last day. So, I don't know, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean that they could get it today. I don't know,
Okay,
you know.
and I think that is it, thank you very much.
Rachel?
That was pretty much my question also, so.
Okay.
Do you get paid twice now? Well, then further, enjoy your weekend.